Hello, one and all. Welcome to another episode of the A2theK Wrestling Show. Anthony, how are you doing today?
I'm all right, you know. It's been a really good. I know we're a little bit late to the party, but it's been a really good week for wrestling. Momentously, obviously, Empower has been, and we'll need to talk about that a little bit later on. But Empower was probably, in all fairness, probably the biggest thing. I don't know how you phrase it. Probably not the biggest thing. Like someone's probably gonna say, "Oh, 2 million views for SmackDown," all that kind of bullshit. I mean, like biggest thing in terms of like an impact in the wrestling biz. Like I think it's been an absolutely great thing for women's wrestling, and you know it was fantastic. And I'm not just saying this with some sort of bias because we interviewed Mickey James right before it, but you know, all credit to Mickey James and everyone involved really. But you know what, it's been a really good week. It's been an enjoyable week and an interesting week for wrestling fans. So yeah. Good, Carl. How about yourself?
I mean, yeah. I kid. It has been good, obviously. NWA killing it this week. We will talk about it in this segment. But
like they've got some eyes on them this week, haven't they? Really? But yeah, like you say, we'll talk about it. We'll get to it. But
much deserved as well. But no, it's been a good week all round. Obviously, we're hot on the road to All Out as well, which we'll be covering in next week's show. So a lot is going on in the wrestling world. But before we talk about what happened this week in wrestling, it's time to throw it over to our pal Road Dogg for this week's A2theK little known fact of the week.
Oh, you didn't know?
Oh yeah. So Anthony, as you know, we were lucky, fortunate, blessed enough to interview the wonderful Mickey James recently, and she'll also
right we were.
be the focus of our Superstar Spotlight segment today. But as you know, she has amassed a vast number of titles and accolades in her time, even if I may have got them wrong in the interview, but I'll never live that down either way. But did you know? Mickey James was voted PWI's Woman of the Year twice. More than the likes of Lita, Sasha Banks, Asuka, and even Charlotte Flair. And while not more than the likes of Trish Stratus or AJ Lee, she is the only woman to be given the accolade in two different promotions. She won her first PWI Woman of the Year award in 2009 during her time with WWE, and then won it again in 2011 in her time with TNA, which just goes to show when you're that good, it doesn't matter where the hell you are. So I thought that was amazing, to be fair. Like the only woman to have won it in, you know, what an accolade that is. It just goes to show she was over anywhere that she went, and what a talent she is and was.
God. That's the absolute, and we'll probably talk about it on our unique segment this week, but that's the absolute travesty of WWE, latest run in WWE. And there's a few things I want to talk about that, but I'll save it for the segment. But like you say, it's like how can she be such an amazing talent in wrestling and have that kind of run to close out at WWE? Absolutely baffling.
It is baffling.
Total disservice to her there.
But
again, we'll talk about that.
We will talk about that. But before we go into what happened this week, we'll throw it back to Road Dogg to sing us out after A2theK's little known fact of the week.
Oh, you didn't know?
Perfect. Wonderful.
Oh, I didn't know.
No, you didn't.
But I'll tell you what I did know, Carl. I know what went on in WWE this week.
Oh, tell me more.
Oh, well, for me, Carl, highlights I want to mention. Hit Row versus Legado del Fantasma this week was an ace fucking match. And do you know what? It's probably the only good thing on NXT right now, if I'm honest. And even that's a bit of a worry because we know that that's going to fucking change.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I think as far as like factions go, as far as this sort of work goes, and as far as story build, absolutely fantastic. They're totally killing it, and honestly, the most fleshed out and enjoyable part of NXT.
I like it. I will also agree. There's not much going on right now. There isn't either super convoluted in the main event scene, or we've been there, done that elsewhere. But you know, these is in terms of like almost a bit of a faction war. I feel like it's been long overdue. Hit Row have kind of hit the ground running, and Legado del Fantasma they've always done well. They've always been all right. They've always been interesting. But I feel like this is one to elevate them potentially in terms of a bit of a feud. So good fun all round. Another highlight for me this week, Anthony, may surprise you. Now, you've been a fan of this guy through thick and thin. I'm only a fan of him when he's back on top, and we're talking about Happy Corbin. I honestly loved it. I can't even deny it. I just think this was the most fleshed out version of Baron Corbin we've ever seen. So, whether he came in as the lone wolf, that was terrible. He was then just kind of floundering, and then he became the whole fucking commissioner kind of thing for a bit, and then he was King Corbin, and they've always felt terrible. Happy Corbin, I like it.
Yeah, I think the problem we've always had with Corbin, and this you may disagree with this, but the lone wolf, I think, was a mechanism whilst he built up confidence on the mic, because the lone wolf doesn't have to speak a lot; he can be quite stoic, And then there's something there. There was something there, which is why they went for the commissioner thing, and why they've done him as this heel character for so long, where he's just this you love to hate him kind of guy. But again, I feel like they've been hitting the mark. Not necessarily Corbin, but they've been hitting the mark creatively, missing the mark. Sorry. And I think some of the problem for me, and what I've been saying to you for months, is the fact that he's meant to be the bad guy, and all I'd end up doing is feel sorry for him because it's just people screwing him over. But because he's the bad guy, it's totally fine to do so. And I feel like there's I don't get what he's meant to be anymore. And I'm so happy they've changed him. And I'm interested to see where this gimmick goes. But yeah, you're totally right. It's there's something amazing about. Oh, amazing might be a bit strong at this point, but there's something really good about what's going on here, and I look forward to it. I'm glad we've dropped the king shit now.
Oh God, yeah, me too. I mean, I'm not sure about Happy Corbin, but we'll let that go. But the fact is, he is showing charisma that I never knew he had. He is a whole different level of performer, just overnight almost. The stuff he was doing when he was down on his luck and all that kind of stuff was entertaining. But I don't know what it is. This is almost like when we saw JBL, and it was oh well, we had that guy Bradshaw and he was okay. But then you see JBL and you're like, okay,
yeah,
I
he's
get
just
that.
Something else. That's I like that comparison.
I mean, it might just be because the fact he wears a cowboy hat
and isn't it?
He rides a limo. But take that aside.
No, but in terms of changing character, it's almost like a night and day thing, just like the Bradshaw JBL difference. You know what I mean?
Yeah. For me, this is the first time me seeing Corbin and going, okay, I get this, I like this, and this could go somewhere. So. Mad props to the guy. I've been very harsh on him for many years, and this seems like this could go somewhere, and I hope it does for him.
Well, speaking of going somewhere, Carl, my only other highlight for WWE this week, and this is kind of a cheat because this is theoretical, but I see so many parallels in what they're doing with Corbin as to what they did with Grimes when Grimes suddenly came into a lot of money and was acting like that kind of character, and obviously had his sort of run with the $1 Million Man and the $1 Million Championship, which is now arguably come to an end because of the sort of closeout of it with the LA Knight at TakeOver, I want to say. So I'm wondering, given the current tearing apart of NXT and potential a lot of changes and some people going to the main roster, potential highlight for me could be the fact that we might get Grimes on the main roster in a feud with Corbin. Money versus money, $1 million belts. I don't know how you'd feel about that, but we've already tested that theory on NXT and people seem to love it. I know I don't think either of us are a massive fan, but I wasn't a massive fan of LA Knight, which was some of the problem. But I think it maybe has legs on a bigger platform, so I'm intrigued to see how this could work. And it puts the $1 Million Man back on network TV with my theory. So,
I mean, yeah, I'm all for that. Big Ted DiBiase fan. Obviously happy with what Corbin is doing currently. Never been a massive Cameron Grimes fan, but to your point, it does. Well, yeah, but it does feel like this is just a passing of a gimmick almost over to Baron Corbin. We don't know what is going to happen now with Cameron Grimes and that kind of thing. But if essentially they've had that thing of guys down on the luck all of a sudden become super rich, and it's essentially a parallel kind of timeline between the two of them. So if it does happen, I think it would make sense. It would be entertaining. I'm not sure that it will, but at the same time, I have no idea what the end game is with Corbin, and I have no idea what they're doing with Cameron Grimes. So maybe this is it. Maybe it will happen. I can't see it, but if it does, and if we do get Ted DiBiase back on our screens,
I'm happy. Called it here,
There
right
you go.
here, right now, on this day. Told you this is going to happen.
That's it. You heard it here first.
And if it doesn't happen, it'll get lost in the editing and you'll never know what it said.
Yeah. What? No, that's not right. What? So, unfortunately, that was all the highlights we had for WWE this week.
That was it. That was all she wrote.
But we do have several O'Shites, and let's kick it off with Karrion Kross's gimp suit. Why? I don't get it.
Have you been watching Mad Max?
Oh, I don't know. Like, somebody tried to just...
Go on.
I was going to say, someone tried to justify it with saying, at the end of the day, you know, he's come onto the main roster. He's already got an action figure for NXT, which I didn't even know he had. You know, how do you make him sell a brand new action figure? Well, yeah, dress him up like a gimp. I'm sure that's going to sell.
That's what I really don't
millions.
get. Like, that's not going to sell much. Can you imagine a kid being like, "Mom, I want that mask," and she's like, "No,
no,
what?
Not that one, little Timmy. Let's have I don't know, Alexa Bliss instead. Wait.
How far are we gonna go? Like, you get your authentic WWE ball gag. It's like, what the fuck? What's going on with this place? It's so weird. The mask on Karrion, like, it looks like they've gone for some sort of Roman like helmet, and then someone's gone, oh no, metal seems a bit aggressive. Let's like soften it up a bit, and then you ended up with this weird leather gimp mask thing. It's so fucking weird. And I've seen on social media some people have pointed out that we've had very similar outfits in the past in WWE. So someone's got a fetish going on. Someone's got a fetish over there.
Well, yeah, wouldn't surprise me in the slightest. But, you know, mad props to them. If they want to open a S&M division of WWEshop.com, then
you know what?
Go for it, you know? Just
you couldn't get a more accurate statement than saying mad props, because these are fucking mad props.
They are mad props. For everyone's bedroom. Sex is good. So Karrion Kross is a gimp now. So we like that. Still no Scarlett to be seen anywhere for whatever fucking reason. But you know, Karrion Kross is a gimp, so it's cool.
She's the only reason. It's like they've gone, well, okay, we'll admit he's less interesting without Scarlett, but we can make him interesting. And let's face it, we're talking about him, so it's kind of working.
I mean, we're talking about him. That is working, but we're talking about him in the worst possible way. But I mean, yeah, it baffles me. You've got someone like Scarlett Bordeaux just sat there doing nothing, and you know, instantly she could come on and
he rocks up like he's walked out of Pulp Fiction for some reason. Yeah, weird.
Yeah, it doesn't make sense.
It really doesn't. I'm super curious what's going on with Scarlett, because you've got to imagine there's a reason she's not on TV.
Well, yeah, who knows?
Because you'll have to. I've blocked most of it out of my memory now, but am I right in saying she wasn't there at TakeOver either, was she?
No,
which
literally
broke the pattern of going. She's with them on NXT, but not on the main roster. She didn't rock up at an NXT takeover, which was.
No, it seems like she's just completely done for whatever reason, and yeah, not a fan of that at all.
So it's a PG program. Can't move her anywhere now.
True. Although, I mean, this is okay, but Scarlett Bordeaux isn't. There you go.
Yeah, I mean, let's face it, like. That's the double standards we have, Carl, because if she walked out in that outfit, then there would be complaints. Not just from us.
That's true.
Like, we're complaining about Carrie, and I'm sure a lot of people just didn't care. But the PG police would definitely come for that. So.
True. I know I'd come for that.
Fucking hell.
What? I meant I'd be keen to see it. What do you get your mind out the gut?
It's done. So the next O'Shea, Carl, for me, is Logan Paul.
Yeah.
Because, and not even just the fact that I get what they're doing. Logan Paul's a big name. Let's pull him into the show again because we want eyes on the show, and Raw's just doing awful. But it's just the fact that this lad can't act. No offense, Logan. You know, you're successful YouTuber guy, but he just can't act. Like, did you find any believability in this whole, like, clash he had with The Miz? Was there any believability in that for you?
No, this was terrible, and you know you could tell the fans absolutely fucking hated it as well. Like it was fine when he came there when there were no crowds because they could do whatever they wanted with the editing process and make it seem like it was all good. You know, they could probably manipulate the Thunderdome, all that good stuff. Get him in front of a crowd, he got booed out the fucking building, and absolutely rightfully so as well, because he's a piece of trash and we don't want to see him.
I think they're a little bit confused about the demographic though, because like I'm sure there are Logan Paul fans who watch wrestling, but that's not the bulk of the audience, let's be honest. I mean, I could be wrong, but like, I don't know how much of the younger generation are truly into wrestling. Do you know what I mean? Most of them are like our generation who are like, who's this guy? What's a YouTube?
I mean,
You know,
that is the identity crisis they're having. Is they don't see themselves as a wrestling promotion anymore. They see themselves as a variety show. They want to have a comedy act. They want to literally. It's like fucking watching America's Got Talent because they're on there. They're all doing these all different stuff. You've got fucking acrobats in one segment. You've got fucking celebrities in another. You've got like honestly, it's ridiculous.
I'm just waiting for like when you say variety, I'm like expecting like a Brady Bunch kind of thing, or like let's just have some random skits mid-show, make it like SNL. No, Carl, we can't do it.
No, we can't.
Yeah, Logan Paul. That's my next ocean.
He's a highlight. He's a no-shite every night of the week. The next one to talk about is just Elias's new gimmick. Now, when we first saw this, I was quite optimistic. I'm a big fan of Elias. And again, another pattern of gimmick, fucking switcheroo. They've given his gimmick now to Rick Boogs, basically. And so they've gone, well, we can't have two guitar players. And so they've now gone down the route of, well, we're going to kill off the guitar playing Elias. And I was like, okay, maybe that's going to mean something else. And it seems like it's not. He's now just going to be like a drifter like he was, but not with a guitar or something. And yeah, I don't get it. I don't understand.
Okay.
Like
that's it's weird.
It felt like something which would be interesting when they first did it. Now, after so many just, constantly just doing the same thing, and he's like, Elias is dead. And it's like, well, what are you then? Like, just do something.
Like, no, I'm still Elias. Like,
yeah, I'm Elias, but I'm just
speaking,
without a guitar now. Okay. Great.
How many wrestlers is Riker going to ruin? That's what I want to know.
God knows. And like the worst thing is, after he buried Elias for ages, he's just not on telly anymore. And it's like, well, that was worthwhile then.
Oh yeah, they fucked two of them up at the same time. It's crazy.
Standard.
It's impressive, actually, in a way.
It is.
Like,
I mean, I'd be more impressed if he didn't do it so frequently.
Like the very rare double heel turn, and we often talk about that. Like that's something you don't see very often, and you don't see it done very well. But something WWE like are really amazing at, and like it's always magical to see is the double burial. That's impressive.
It is. It's a unique thing. It's a unique characteristic that they're just able to do it so well.
Just end of the match and it's everybody hates this.
Everybody cries. Yeah.
So my next one, Carl, is moving back to the NXT scene. Is the number one contender scene, basically. I mean, there was a time when I really wanted to see Dunn versus Cross, right? I wanted this, and it was like, no, you're going to get Balor first. I'm like, okay, I'll be fucking patient, right? So we did the Balor thing, and then I'm like, okay, we might get back to Dunn. And then Samoa Joe rocks up. I'm like, okay, we'll get Samoa Joe out of the way. And then we're at a point now, like, it's basically never going to happen. Dunn versus Carrion, which I really wanted as a match, and I thought it would have been good for the NXT title, but whatever. And now, instead of like going, well, Dunn was like prime, title scene fucking guy, right, and having maybe go against one other person who might have been at that level. No, we're going to introduce a clusterfuck of a number one contender scene, which includes LA Knight. How did it include LA Knight? Like, I know that he was kind of the butt of a joke because they were like, what the fuck are you even here? Do you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Because what has he done to earn that shot? But at the same time, why would Samoa Joe come out and be like, oh yeah, open call, anyone who wants to challenge me? It's like, I hate when they do stuff like that. It's like there's a load of people who were lined up who I wanted to see. But mainly, basically, I really like Pete Dunne, and I'm pissed off that they didn't deliver with him in any way yet. Kind of what I'm moaning about.
I mean, it feels like it's never going to happen now. I feel like they've had their opportunities to pull the trigger, and they just haven't done it. And for someone who's as talented as Pete Dunne is, it's going to be an absolute travesty if he doesn't get that opportunity and that limelight to go out there and do what he does. So, I feel, unfortunately, to your point, I think it's gone now. It's just, I can't see them doing anything with him at that level.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. So that's a no shade, definitely no shade. Disappointing.
So, Becky Lynch, Anthony. We've made comparisons in the past of Becky, trying to emulate Stone Cold Steve Austin, even at times Conor McGregor. And what I'm going to say, Anthony, is they took the fucking piss this week because they just made her basically copy Conor McGregor in every way, shape, and form. So there's an infamous promo, post-fight promo from Conor McGregor where, he, I'm not sure whether he won a belt or he retained the belt at this point, but he was like, I just want to take this opportunity to apologize to absolutely nobody. And like everyone's like, like fucking goes insane, right? Becky comes out and she's like, oh, I hear you. There's been a lot of controversy about my return. A lot of people talking about my actions, saying I was underhanded. And all right. I want to take this time to say that I'm sorry for absolutely nothing. So, it's the same fucking promo. They changed 2 words. Like,
Honest
seriously? Seriously?
You know what? Like, I don't even blame like exclusively Becky for half of this. Like, but I'm so pissed off with the way that, like, even the way social media is. Like, I've seen so many news articles this week. Like, oh, it's official. We've got it. Like, almost like an exclusive like bit of gossip that Becky is officially turning heel. It's like, well, wasn't that fucking obvious? She come out and screwed someone over. Weren't we all like certain that she was being a heel then? Why do we need that confirmation? I'm so puzzled with the mentality that they've had to confirm this shit as well.
Do you know what's funny though? I think we got it that it was happening, but the fact is it was so poorly executed. Even on SmackDown this week, she came out and she wasn't full heel. She was there like, oh yeah, I missed you guys. And it's like going on this big thing and getting like big fucking crowd pops and everything. And then it's still a heel. And it's like, well, are you then? Because fucking... You know what
because
I mean? Like,
as much as I probably would have moaned about it, like stuff we've seen before, it actually makes more sense for her to come back as a face initially, come back for the title that she had to give away, and go up against Charlotte. That would have made a lot more sense. But we can't have anything happen on Raw that might actually be worth watching. So naturally,
we can't have
she
nice
goes to
things.
SmackDown, because for some reason they're migrating all the fun stuff to SmackDown. So make of that what you will. So I don't know. It really fucking puzzled me. Like the whole execution of this. I feel like what they need to be careful of with the Conor McGregor thing is they've just basically gone, well, you're Irish and a badass. But like, yeah, she's also on a PG product. She can't swear. So you've got a bunch of people who are clearly going to be like, see, so she's like basically a watered down version of McGregor. So she's like, she's going to be like going for roughly the same. Like that one kind of worked with like, she's not going to be able to go, who the fuck is this guy? And stuff like that.
Well,
if what I mean? If they want to start mimicking different interviews he's done. So she's going to have to be like, who the flip is this? And it's just not going to work. You're just going to realize just how PG the fucking product is.
The thing is though, it wouldn't surprise me if they do that next week. Like, they have some sort of like fucking sit down segment and, they're talking about who deserves a shot. And then, I don't know, fucking Carmella or Zelina Vega says something and she goes, who the hell is that? Or so, you know what I mean? It's like, that's where they're going. It's like...
Just for further salt in the wounds, Carl, they're going to do that to Liv Morgan.
Yeah. Well, exactly. Right? The whole thing is baffling. Like, I get it. She's Irish and Conor McGregor is a popular Irishman who, gets a lot of attention. But it's like...
Do you don't think that's the laziest fucking concept? Like, you're both Irish.
Yeah.
I mean, this is from a company who used to just put Asian people together, but whatever.
Well, I mean, say what you want, but today they've still got fucking Mansoor and Ali against fucking Jinder Mahal, and it's fucking. So it's like, come on.
So they still feel the need to do that. Yeah, it's a good point.
Yeah, come on. But yeah, so I don't know. I just I thought it was pathetic this to bring her back and just basically have her be Conor McGregor, and like even like the end bit of like nah, and just walking off, and it was like. Fuck, like, come on. Come on.
Mm-hmm. So, while we're moaning about women's wrestling, Carl, and I feel bad doing that, but WWE for you. I'm beginning to really hate WWE's approach to this whole rematch thing. Now, I can't remember exactly when they said it, but you remember a while ago they said, like, the rematch clause thing's gone. Right, you don't automatically get a rematch, right? And it felt like basically just a mechanism to screw the likes of Kofi Kingston over, so they can eliminate something. It kind of makes sense from a business point of view. This isn't working, so we'll stop it there. No rematch, no finishing the story. That weren't working for the crowd. So Kofi thing, he got ruined by Brock and he never got a rematch. But he seems to, correct me if you can find any others, Carl, but he seems to be the only one who has actually suffered because of this rematch clause. Because everyone gets their rematch in a convoluted way, except for Kofi, right? And there might be others, but I honestly can't think of any. And the reason I moan about it is because this week we had Bianca Belair obviously isn't entitled to a rematch, but what we can do is we can have a really convoluted way of getting to that point. So now Bianca has to beat 3 other women, and basically, you know, it's not exactly helpful to their career to take a loss randomly on SmackDown so that Bianca can get the rematch that she was entitled to. But whatever, we're going to do it that way. And like to ultimately get to that point where she can't just have that heat with Becky and she wants a rematch because she was caught off guard, which would be a perfectly legitimate thing to do. No, we have to do the big convoluted fucking mess around that involved the likes of Selena and Liv and all that. And it's like, why can't we just, like, we all know where this is going. Like, unless they did I'd be more impressed if they did on a swerve and put someone else in the picture. But I don't know. Why not just give the rematch clause back? It's just fucking stupid.
I think as well the way she lost it. You know, originally she was booked to go against Sasha Banks, and you know, randomly fucking Becky shows up and it's like, well, we can have a match, and she accepts it and then gets beat. Like that wasn't who she was originally intended to face anyway. So surely, as a matter of circumstances, they'd be like, okay, well, you know, maybe you should.
Yeah,
at least.
it seems really odd that they wouldn't approve that. I think there was a point in SmackDown where Sonya Deville even admitted that as well, which is odd. But I really don't understand the mentality around. To be honest, the whole booking for this is kind of shocking. Like, we've already had Bianca be. I think people have easily forgot this, but when she was going up against Bayley, the whole concept of that was that Bianca's green and she's stupid in terms of ring awareness and her wrestling ability, and Bayley's going to get the best of her as the veteran. And you think, well, surely she must have learnt loads from that. And then we get like. A few months later, she's the champion, and Becky catches her off guard because she's stupid and agreed to a match that she wasn't prepared for. And it's like, but surely you must have learned from the whole Bayley incident not to do this shit.
To be fair, like, you had the Bayley thing, you also had Sasha Banks calling her like this whole rookie thing that was going on as well. It's like her whole thing
literally turned heel on her like a week before.
Her whole shtick,
that shit coming too.
Her whole shtick has been she's dumb and naive, and then even after all this time on the main roster, she goes, yeah, I'll take a match with Becky Lynch, like, on the spot. And, it's like, well, fuck, we spoke about this at length anyway, that it was a terrible decision to do that, especially in the manner that, they did it. But, yeah, my God, it's not done anyone any favours. And now, to your point of them having to go through this, it's not doing any of the other women any favours.
I do not think Selena's took a win since she re-signed with WWE.
No, probably on purpose, though. Like, you probably re-signed her and went, we've sacked your husband and now you're stuck with us and you're getting fucking buried.
Well, I don't know if I mentioned it on air, but I think I mentioned to you last week, like, she signed back with, or the rumour has it that she signed back with WWE while Alistair was still signed with them, and it was done as a mechanism to stay close to him. And then he left the company and she was stuck there, which is devastating if you think about it. So maybe they are doing that, like, he's killing it on AEW and they're like, well, you're going to get buried here.
Yeah.
Who knows?
Who knows?
Who knows?
And speaking of things that, we don't care about, I don't really know how that came about, but I tried to segue. So, obviously, when Roman Reigns was victorious at SummerSlam, we got Brock Lesnar coming out, and everyone was like, oh. And then... He looks like a Viking. It's gonna be crazy. What's gonna happen? And then, this week on SmackDown, we get Balor. He comes out. He's like, what about me? I want to steal my opportunities. So I can't see Brock Lesnar here about fighting me. And Roman's just like, you're Finn Balor, and you're not even got a gimmick anymore. You just like crosses and stuff, and
Yeah, he seems to be. I don't know, like. For someone who seems so disenchanted with the main roster, went back to NXT, apparently killed it on NXT, which I still disagree with, comes back to the main roster, and it's like, right, what you're going to do is you're going to fill in for the part-timers because they're only scheduled to appear like a couple of times. So, between that, you're just going to feud with the main guy, but you're not actually going to have the match. And he's like, sure, why not? Because that's what we're going to get. We're going to go fuck around with the whole Balor thing, and then ultimately, Brock's going to come back lay everyone out, and go, right, I'm going to have this match with you at Extreme Rules, and everyone's going to be like, cool.
Yeah.
Exactly like we got with the other fella, John Cena.
Yeah, that guy. But no, like, at this point it's underwhelming, isn't it? I think when Finn first like made his challenge and was like, okay, I'm gonna fight you, and then it was like, no, Baron Corbin's gonna fight you. No, John Cena's gonna fight you, and then obviously everyone was like, well, yeah, obviously Cena. So now straight away it feels like a step down. But then also you've added into the mix. Sorry for the Scott Steiner math. Math. But
Maths.
Scott Steiner math and that. But you add into the mix, obviously, fucking the fact that Lesnar came back at SummerSlam, and it's like you care even less. Like Reigns has gone from Cena, and it's now what do people want to see? A returning Viking-looking badass face Brock, or Finn Balor's there.
The pointy guy with the leather jacket.
Yeah. Like what is your gimmick? What is your gimmick? I don't get it.
Bring back the demon, damn it.
Just do something. I just like, what is it? I can't spell, so I've just put X's in front of what letters I don't know, and I point to things like, all right, Eugene Mark II. Like literally, is what he is. But anyway, so not a fan.
I'm actually I'm quietly hoping that after Brock, we're gonna get Kurt Angle back for a little bit, because I'm thinking that there's a quiet Roman Reigns is doing a reality era tour here. I think anyone who was huge in the noughties, I think Roman's going to have to defend his title against. So I'm hoping that the next stop on the tour after Brock is going to be Kurt Angle coming back. Low key.
Okay. Never going to happen. But, if it does, you heard it here first.
If it does, then we're getting JBL after that. It's just going to keep rolling.
Oh, no, it'll just be Happy Corbin, because we're just rehashing gimmicks at this point.
Oh, of course.
But, Anthony, what would you give? What is your rating for the whole of WWE for this week?
Honestly, a 2. Love this and everything's about.
I can't even give it a 2. I'm not going to lie to you. I thought it was awful.
I'm going to give it a 2. Right. my 2, right, just because I might try and help defend some of this here. My 2 comes from the Legado del Fantasma stuff and the Corbin stuff. That's the reason. They've got 2 things that each deserve a point. So that's where I'm getting me 2 from. But
see,
otherwise, the week was dog shit.
I'm going to give it a 1. And for the same reasons as you, but they only deserve half a point for me, because I'm more of a bastard apparently. But yeah, Happy Corbin's gimmick and a decent match or 2 doesn't warrant full points in my opinion. So for me, it was super lackluster, especially after SummerSlam as well. Like taking that into account, all the surprises we got and everything, it was like, and here we are. More shit again. It's like, well, for fuck's sake. So yeah,
it's an interesting way of looking at it. But that's
one,
a good point.
1 out of 5 for me. Terrible week. So let's move swiftly on, Anthony. We're going to talk highlights for AEW this week. The first one, talk about CM Punk, his promo. He's back. Obviously, it wasn't as electric as Rampage. It was never going to be. But at the same time, just seeing CM Punk back on our screens, on a Dynamite, just talking straight sense. Obviously,
let's face it, he made everyone pop with his little hints as well, didn't he?
Well, he did, didn't he? Typical Punk fashion, responded to what the fans were saying, doing a yes chant, and he was like, that's not my shtick. You might have to wait, just a little bit longer for that one. It was like, oh, so
you confirmed it.
It's real. So, yeah, I don't know. I just think I'm surprised by how good it's been having CM Punk back. I think, a lot of people say absence makes the heart grow fonder, all that kind of stuff. I was a huge CM Punk mark. There's no denying that. And then I think, towards the end of his time in WWE, I was a bit like, well, okay, if he goes, he goes. I'm not really that bothered. And then we've had 7 years without him. And then it's like, oh, he's coming back, and everyone's losing their mind. And I'm like, oh, yeah, it might be cool to see him. And he's back, and I'm like, okay, yeah, this is fucking cool. So,
because you can feel the electric. It's like, because I was apprehensive. And I even talked about it before he returned, and we were talking about the fact, what's he going to be in AEW? He can't be the same guy. And then what's he do? He comes back, gets the crowd right behind him, and then he even publicly says, I'm not going to be the same CM Punk you saw in WWE. And I'm like, this is awesome, fucking brilliant. Yeah. Because he can't be, and he knows that. So
well, that's it. He's doing everything right, isn't he? He's hitting all the right marks at this point. So, yeah, literally the marks at this point. So
Hitting
it's
all
one of
of them
them. It's one of them. I think at the minute he's not done anything wrong. He's only doing good stuff. I guess all will be kind of the jury's out until we see him at All Out, basically.
I'm quite happy that there weren't too many weeks between his appearance and All Out, because I honestly, the only fear I had was like this could get a bit stagnant. Like he comes out, he says something, he comes out, he said, because they clearly want his first match to be at All Out. So I'm like, I don't know how long we can keep doing this, because AEW, one of the only negatives I do give it is like they have a history of like Sting talks, an interview with Sting. Sting appears this week. And
well,
like,
I think Anthony.
I
think Anthony, just so you know, obviously we are on Wednesday night, which is you know what that means. It means Dynamite's on tonight, and I think advertised for tonight's show, CM Punk talks. Actually, I think it's we hear from CM Punk. But yeah,
I can live with that because All Out's coming. Like, if we had too many weeks before All Out, I'd be like, I'll just put him in the fucking match, will you?
Yeah, but, and I like the fact that on Dynamite he gave a promo, and then on Rampage they didn't go, well, we need to have CM Punk on there doing a promo again. They had like a video package where it was just him giving some thoughts, Darby giving thoughts. So yeah.
And to be honest, this week I would highly expect, predicting it now, which will probably be past past tense for anyone now, but I would anticipate some sort of scuffle this week. He goes to say something, he goes to make an appearance this week on Dynamite, and there's an altercation, because that's the pattern, isn't it? Get everyone hyped. So I'm anticipating an altercation.
We need a segment. We need a segment, fucking Mystic Ant, and you're just gonna predict the shit that happens on the show every week, and then we rate you after every show. I think that needs to be something we do going forward.
I'm no Simpsons. I don't know if I can live up to that, man. I tell you what, like, if I have any modicum of success with the things I've predicted this episode, then we will introduce that as a segment and see how well I do.
Okay, you heard it here first. Definitely happening. So CM Punk, he was cool.
CM Punk, he was cool. So other highlight for me, Carl, and I'm sure you will agree, was the Lucha Bros going up against Jurassic Express, #1 contender match for the title, or for the shot at the title against the two guys, the Shawn Michaels guys, Young Bucks, not to get anyone, sorry. But no, this was an absolute banger of a match. And do you know what? Like, this is the first time in a long time, and I don't know if you agree with this or not. Like, it's certainly how I felt. I really didn't know who I wanted to win this.
Mm-hmm.
I genuinely didn't know who I wanted to win.
Yeah.
And the fact that we've got two absolutely amazing tag teams that we can say that, I think is fucking brilliant.
Yeah. I mean, even, obviously, this was the tag team finals, wasn't it? So before this, we had fucking Lucha Brothers taking on Varsity Blondes. I was like, I think with that one, but even that, you were like, who do we want to win? Obviously, we have a personal vested interest in the likes of Griff because he's a friend of the show.
He's a friend of the show.
So we have that as well. But
I think for me, like, that one, it made it not made more sense. Like, you could see the win coming because the Varsity Blondes are still earning their dues, kind of thing. But when you put the Lucha Bros up against Jurassic Express, it's like, who's got more right to this?
Oh god, yeah. I mean, match? Like, this one was definitely more unpredictable, 100%. But obviously, I think to your point of like saying, well, we've got such great tag teams on display, and who there's a lot more teams that you're invested in, you're rooting for now. So the fact that Lucha Bros had Varsity Blondes and managed to overcome them, and then get a final between these guys and Jurassic Express, like it was just so good. Like, the in-ring action was fantastic. They are phenomenal. Like all everyone in AEW is pretty fantastic, to be fair. But
honestly, the only bad tag team, and this might be an unpopular opinion, the only bad tag team for me at the minute is probably Moxley and Kingston. Yeah. I don't think they should be in a tag team, so I'm not keen. But beyond that, like, I think they're doing stellar work on the tag division.
The music is shit as well.
You don't see FTR much these days. Not sure what that's
about. Well, we're gonna see. I mean, we're gonna see them back tonight. So obviously, Cash Wheeler suffered a very serious injury a couple of Dynamites ago, where he basically got the corner of the ring basically pierced all of his bicep, and he's like basically not had any feeling in his arm for many weeks. So
and I can't fight this feeling anymore. Okay, cool.
Yeah. So obviously he's back, but he's
So that okay. I don't know how I got that, but I must have overlooked the fact that they were actually, or he was actually injured. So that makes a little bit of sense then.
I mean, it's quite a scary one, to be honest. I think he said that he doesn't know whether this is going to be the end for him because he just doesn't have the range or
back tonight though, so he must be doing a lot better now, I imagine.
Well, I mean, I think he's going to see how it goes and see. But obviously, they're hoping to put the feud to bed with Santana and Ortiz tonight. But I mean, right. I think it just goes to show.
It's not. I sincerely hope that it doesn't affect them long term. I hope that it all works out. Then I didn't realize the half of it, if I'm honest.
Yeah, no, it seems to be pretty severe. I think we'll know after tonight whether or not he's able to even carry on. But yeah, I think, this, as well as obviously FTR and the like, just goes to show what a strong tag team division AEW has. But I mean, man, Lucha Brothers, Rey Fenix he's just another level, and obviously Penta, just
unreal.
Fucking such a fucking G, isn't he? He's so good. But just great matches all around.
Amazing. So they kind of, I know people like to make these connections, so apologies because I'm like, hey, they're luchas as well, but it kind of reminded me of when Rey Mysterio first rocked up in WWE, and it was just mesmerizing to watch. Before it, you kind of figured out what Rey Mysterio's sort of moveset was. That's not that it's not still impressive, but you get used to it in a way. Do you know what I mean? Watching the pair of them at the minute is a bit like when I first saw Rey Mysterio in WWE all them years ago in the early 2000s, because I'm like, the stuff they're doing in the ring is just fucking brilliant to watch. Almost unpredictable because you don't know how they're going to manipulate the ring or the ring post.
You've got this unique ability to make it feel different every time they get in there. There's always something new. There's always something that catches you off guard, and it's a fucking awesome tag team.
Indeed.
On to the O'Shites then. So we only had 2 highlights, but we only have 2 O'Shites.
You say that. Don't agree with your first one.
Oh, what? Okay, coming from you, this is insane. But I'm going to get it out there, and then let's debate. So, for me, I've been quite lenient, I thought, until Anthony just dropped that bombshell on what's been going on over the past months with Inner Circle, Pinnacle, and predominantly MJF and Jericho. Like, we've seen these guys go from being best friends, doing fucking musical numbers together, down to basically enemies, and we've seen this happen a lot. There's been a lot of kind of blood feuds, end feud. We had Blood and Guts, and MJF tossing him off. That doesn't sound right. I think I've said this before when we talked about Blood and Guts. He threw him off a cell, and he landed on a big bed of cardboard, and it was all fun.
You sure don't do this to be in the Inner Circle?
The 5 labors of Jericho. How do you think he got pregnant in the first place? We obviously had that original thing of Blood and Guts, as well as everything else. We then had the 5 labors of Jericho, where it was ultimately to get a match, and MJF still beat him. And now we're getting it again, and it's like, well, but this time, if I lose, I'm going to put my career on the line. It's like, well, yeah, okay, but at the same time, it's just like, well, come, like, you've gone through 5 surely that just highlights even more how shit MJF is at coming up with stipulations. Like, why wasn't that like stipulation number fucking 3? Like, well, all right then, you don't beat Wardlow and you're done. You're never getting to me. You're finished. Like, why is it not like, well, no, but now you can't use the Judas effect? It's like, we've seen it. We've seen every combination. Like, they deliver. Don't get me wrong. Like, I like watching them together in the ring, but it just feels even a bit too convoluted for me. So I'm keen to get your thoughts on it, because I'm surprised.
I'm looking past the convolution. Is that a word? Maybe. I've just made a word.
I'll go with it.
I'm looking past the convoluted nature of this, right? In that we've actually only had the one match, and I don't want to be too negative, but I was a tad let down with the match we did get between Jericho and MJF. I think especially after the labors of Jericho. So for me, I'm all for a rematch because I want to see them 2 in the ring and put on a hell of a match. And so far, I don't think I've had that. So this is where I disagree, because your mentality, and I can understand where you're coming from, is them two again. But my mentality is like, good, we can fix this. Like, not that the last one was bad, but it just didn't, like, for something that was built up so much, it just kind of didn't end right, you know?
Now, you
So,
see,
like,
I'm not a wrestling historian.
oh,
If I was, I would believe this is not
number
only.
3.
I believe it's at least number 3. I think they've definitely had another match prior to this.
I disagree.
Well, I
That's the
mean,
fun thing about wrestling. I mean, you
well,
have
put
one
it this way.
opinion, I have
Put it this way.
another.
They've
You give me actual facts, and I disagree.
definitely had a match around whether or not he was able to join the inner circle or something like that.
Did
So
those comments for that? Yeah.
yeah, it was definitely them too, and it was like, well, yeah, if you can beat Chris
Oh no,
Jericho,
yeah,
you can
you're
join
right.
the inner
You're right.
circle.
Yeah.
So that's definitely happened already, and I think there's even been another one. Basically, what I'm saying is, shut up, you're wrong. We've seen it too many
I'm still
times.
gonna like.
I'm
It's in the
right.
O'Shea
I'm
category. I'm
better
not
than you,
arguing massively.
and you know it. Sorry, I went to a
I'm
full
just happy
MJF
to
thing.
see this. I'm just happy to see this match at all out. It's gonna be fine.
I mean, yeah, I mean, you're not wrong. I'm also gonna enjoy the match because these guys always put on a good match. I just feel from a convolution, if that is a word, convolution is a mystery.
Convulsion.
It appears. But yeah, I don't know. I feel like we should be done with this now, and we're still not. So yeah.
So looking forward to the match, but being negative about it. Sounds nice one.
Basically, I mean, I'm just like every average member of the internet.
Well, I'll tell you what,
community.
Carl. While we're both throwing out unpopular opinions, there's mine. Right. Matt Hardy versus Orange Cassidy was shit.
Oh,
That's my O'Shea.
we need like a soundboard. We need like a pew, 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 pew. As soon as you said that, then
I would love a soundboard. That'd be
roast
awesome.
battle going on.
I don't know how people feel about it. Because I don't care. Kidding. But yeah, for me, it was a disappointing match. It was a disappointing match. I'm not overly sold on big money Matt as a gimmick. Like the fact that he had enough time to just take money out of Orange Cassidy's pockets but not finish the match. It just loads of stuff that just kind of pissed me off with it. And matches, Orange Cassidy normally really impresses me in a match, like, because it's something a bit different. And I don't know, like, look at the matches he's had with the likes of Pac and stuff in the past, and you go into it with a legend like Matt and you just expect more, or I did anyway, and I'm like, this was disappointing, and it was a shit match.
Okay, I mean, one minor like counter to the quality of the match was, Matt Hardy did break his nose. So
I don't care.
That might have, maybe hampered the quality of the match.
I don't care. He can break whatever he likes, right? No excuse for a bad match.
No, I mean, look, it wasn't a clinic.
Let's not be too controversial with this comment, Carl, but like Matt Hardy suffered a really bad concussion when he was up against Guevara and still finished the fucking match in good style.
Oh shit! No, you're right. I think you make some good points. It wasn't a fucking phenomenal match by any stretch of the imagination. It had the little fun start off, didn't it, with the little leg kicks and the money in the hands in the pockets and all that good stuff. Like, yeah, cool. So we got that, but then, yeah, the actual quality of what happened afterwards wasn't amazing. But was it hampered a bit by him landing on Hardy's face and exploding his face? Probably. But yeah, for me, it wasn't amazing.
All I'm saying is, if this was WWE,
no shite.
If this was WWE, right, he'd pull a Becky Lynch and he'd be over as fuck now for breaking his nose. But no. That's a joke, by the way, guys. Yeah. That's a joke. I don't know. All right, maybe I'm being unfair with the broken nose thing, but I expected more from this match, and maybe it was hampered, but it was a shit match. I'm going to call it what it is.
He's broken Matt Hardy. It's part of his gimmick. Breaks things all the time. So that was AEW this week. If we have to go from a ratings standpoint, it's a tough one. I'm not going to rate it super high, unfortunately. I think it might just scrape a 2.5, and that is based on the fact that nothing really blew me away, but at the same time, nothing really disappointed or upset me either. It was very much a middle of the road, solid episode of both Dynamite and Rampage. Like, Rampage was good. It managed the 1 hour quite well, but at the same time, I wasn't like I was with the first episode. It was good. It was fine. So middle of the road for me. I'm going to give it a 2.5.
Yeah, I get that. I was actually going to say a 3, but you've actually convinced me that it should have been very much middle of the road. So I'm going to agree with you on a 2.5. You know.
Okay, we'll take it. And briefly, let's talk what happened across the other promotions. And by other promotions, I mean it was the week of the NWA.
Of course it was. NWA week. We can't concentrate because there's some important shit that happened right now.
It certainly was. And we're not biased at all, just by the fact we had Mickie James on the show recently. But we genuinely were hyped about this show. And in my opinion, I'm sure, and obviously we haven't spoken about this as well, but this delivered, this card. I thought on paper it looked fantastic. And, you know, execution-wise, it was great as well. Obviously, Mickie James opens the show and, you know, man, if you didn't get choked up watching it, like, you know, who even are you? It was real. It was raw. You can see how much it meant to Mickie James as well. Just, you know, being able to put on this event and after everything she'd been through with WWE to have an opportunity to kind of give back to wrestling and stuff. Like, yeah, it was awesome. You know, the whole kind of card, like up and down, was pretty solid as well. And there were so many matches. We had obviously the inter-promotional match with AAA. NWA and AEW, which was fantastic. We had obviously the Camille versus Layla Hirsch match. We even had the Women's Invitational Cup in which Chelsea Green was the winner, which was, you know, shocking to say the least based on the people that were in there.
Not a bad shout.
Not in a bad way, but surprising to say the least. So just honestly thought it was an excellent show all round.
Yeah, no, couldn't agree more. It did everything that I think Mickie wanted it to do and more. Obviously, we were speaking to her. She was so sort of hopeful that it was going to deliver, and it fucking delivered as far as I'm concerned. This was fantastic to watch and proves, I think, the point that she's been sort of making for a long time. And obviously, there's always that controversial, that infamous comment that I can't remember who said it now, but in WWE they said that women's wrestling doesn't make money. Mm-hmm. And I think this proves the fact that it fucking can.
Yeah,
it's not about the gender. It's about the storytelling, and everything was executed perfectly on this. The tournament was great. The matches were set up really great. They had a lot of legends, a lot of passion, a lot of talent involved, and you could see every part of that oozing through. It was fantastic. So, Carl, sticking with Empower, sticking with NWA, was a surprise return and sort of a sad end, really, in a way. We saw Awesome Kong make her return. I think last time she was seen was actually in AEW with the Nightmare Collective. And sadly, she'd been plagued with injuries since then. That's what kind of hampered the whole storyline with AEW. And she made a return. Fantastic to see her. But sadly, she made a return so she could retire. So... You know, and obviously the beautiful moment with her and Gail Kim, given the history those two have. It was a fantastic moment, but also a really sad moment because obviously she's been one of the bigger parts of legitimizing might not be the right word, but pushing women's wrestling forward in the current product. So really kind of sad, but you know what? Yeah, she's going out on her terms, and it was just great to see her again. So fair play.
No, it was. I think obviously when she came through the curtain and it was like, oh shit, you know, Awesome Kong's here, and then obviously she cleared the ring and then kind of, you know, came up behind Gail Kim, and it was like, oh shit. Obviously these guys have got an incredible history together, especially in TNA. Yeah. So that in itself was like a big throwback, and then for that emotional kind of, you know, retirements and stuff like that, it was just. You know, I've got so much respect for Awesome Kong. I think she was. There's no one like her in wrestling. Like she just was in a whole different kind of level, in you know, in her own right. She was a proper attraction for any promotion that she was in. Obviously, she had that brief stint with WWE as well, which unfortunately she ended up getting. Well, unfortunately, but you know, she ended up getting pregnant, which meant that she had to, you know. Not kind of see that through, but you know that could have been huge for her as well. She was in a Royal Rumble. You know, she was, you know, by all accounts going to get quite a big push there. She's had similar stuff in TNA, and you know, as you said, she was part of AEW. She's been
it's a
everywhere.
shame that the AEW stuff was cut massively short, which is a shame. But again, great to see her on there, and it's early doors as well, to be fair.
Yeah. But no, just, like some people are like joking, like saying, "Oh, well, she's already retired before. Now she's retiring again and stuff." And like no, this is it. Like she's come back for it to have a send off and to give NWA the rub in a way of like being like, well, as another talking point for this show, this is where I'm gonna I could make my retirement on any show if I want to, but I'm coming here. This is where it is, and I'm done. And having that connection between her and Gail, it was emotional to watch, and obviously, we wish her the best in whatever she decides to do after,
avoiding
a life in pro wrestling. Yeah. So yeah, love that as well.
That was great.
Also, finally, just to talk about the following night, NWA put on NWA 73 years of the National Wrestling Alliance. And we got to see Ric Flair come home.
Couldn't be more fitting, that could it?
Back to the NWA.
Like,
and
the timing on that, I don't even know if that was deliberate enough, but the timing on his release to be able to do this is fantastic. And from what Mickey was telling us, like, it went, like, everything was the tickets were sold and everything was booked before they knew Rick was going to be able to be there. So
yeah, this was
I truly believe it weren't planned, but how perfect was it to have him?
Yeah, like such an added bonus for anyone who was, in attendance or who had already bought the pay-per-view. But, he came out and he cut a very, like we've joked in the past, like, every time we see Ric Flair these days, he's crying and stuff like that. And it's like, well, it almost became a bit of a meme in itself. But obviously, I think then he was probably acting more in WWE. But this, this felt different, didn't it? This was him coming out and he didn't trash anybody. He was nothing but respectful and thankful for, his time in the NWA, his time in WCW, his time in WWE. Praise Vince McMahon, praise Tony Khan, praise Billy Corgan.
One thing that bugs me a little bit was the fact that since then, people have actually been shocked that he had good things to say about Vince. And it's like, why wouldn't he? Like, I know, rival companies and all this kind of thing, and I know the internet wrestling community likes to all bitch and moan at each other, but surely Rick has nothing but good things to say. He's had a long and very good relationship with the man.
Yeah,
just because he's no longer part of WWE doesn't mean that he hates the guy. I can't believe people are even shocked that he had nice things to say.
No, like Rick went there in like 1992 or late 1991 as the real world's champion. He wasn't happy with how he was being used, and so Vince was didn't cause a fuss, didn't do anything. He was just like, okay, that's fine. You can leave. You can go and do whatever you want to do. He went away, went to WCW, went and did his thing there, came back, went away again, went to TNA. You know what I mean? He's come back again. Like, him and Vince have just got a fantastic relationship. They are two, professional businessmen who, want to do what's right for each other. And so he's never gonna, badmouth them because he's had some of his best times there. Like, he was very nice in his promo, crediting the likes of Triple H and stuff for, making him realise the fact he's Ric Flair. Like, that's something which he forgot about himself for many, many years. So he credits Triple H for Vince and that whole company for bringing that back out of him again. So yeah, I think it's one of them. I think it's IWC fans love to shit on WWE, don't they? Or unless you're a WWE fan, in which case you love to shit on everyone else. But
But I think people are just so used to negativity now. It's like someone's left WWE, so they're gonna be bitching about it, and it's like, not necessarily. He couldn't reach a deal that they all were happy with, and they parted ways, and it's not necessarily a bad thing. It doesn't always have to be a bad thing. But no, like a true class act, he gave credit to the people who are doing their best for the business as a whole at the moment, and I think that's fair.
Me too. But all in all, obviously, Ric Flair was the icing on the cake. We had a fantastic card as well, which we also saw Trevor Murdoch beating Nick Aldis in a... it was a WWE title. No, it was a world title versus... basically, it was like a retirement match. So if Trevor Murdoch didn't win, he'd have to retire. But obviously, Trevor Murdoch won, beat Nick Aldis, and became the new NWA champion. So, yeah, fantastic card all round as well. Great show.
Indeed.
And
fantastic
great weekend for wrestling fans all round. So, Anthony, we've made it to 59 minutes, 24 seconds.
We had a bit more to say this week.
An hour of This Week in Wrestling.
We had a bit more to say.
But what a week it was.
What a week.
And yeah, we'll be back talking the latest news, rumours, and everything else going on as well as a special segment looking at the career of Mickie James and obviously what she means to women's wrestling and wrestling as a whole. And we'll be back after these people.
You're watching or listening
to A to the K.
The A2theK.
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 These guys are awesome. Check it out.
Check it out. Change your life. You'll be thanking me later.